Tame the voices in your head. You've put your courage to the test. Laid all your doubts to rest.
Welcome to a new episode of Intuitive Queens podcast from your Intuition Queen. My name is Mara and I am an intuitive and creative coach. I am the host of this podcast, and my mission is to empower women to trust their intuition, set their creativity free, and manifest their vision, whatever that is. And so with this podcast, I hope to inspire you and give you tools and tips on how to manifest your vision and create the life that you want. As you know, I have guests sharing their stories, and I hope with their stories you feel empowered, you feel inspired, you like to take action. But I'm also here on solo episode to give you tools and to help you understand a little bit more about yourself, the process to manifest whatever it is that you want. So today I want to talk about how to stay aligned to your vision, to your desire, how to stay in alignment with your vision, with your dreams, with yourself, and especially how to stay in alignment in challenging times. And I'm not only talking about this year, because I know this year is extremely challenging for a lot of people, but generally. So as you know, happens to everybody, we might make plans for our lives, for our professional life, for our personal life, and then something happens that is outside of our control, and we need to redirect ourselves. We need to maybe pause on that dream, on that goal, or completely change the course of things because life puts us in a situation where that's what we need to do at that point in time. And so when those things happen, I know that whenever there is something that happens that is not necessarily something we had planned for, that we feel we can manage, it is often the case that we feel lost, we feel confused, and we feel like we cannot deal with the situation. And so that's when emotions start to run high and start to actually take over and manage our situation. So like, for example, I think that right now we are all in a situation where we're managing ourselves pretty much quite well, others more than someone else, but as opposite to when the pandemic started, where everyone was freaking out. Now it's kind of like it became a habit to stay home, to have maybe the kids at home if you have kids, or to just change your habits has become now normal. So now you don't really think about a lot of things that at the beginning were freaking you out. So this is what happens when something comes, an obstacle comes in our life. Sometimes the obstacle, if we want to call it this way, can be something good, something unexpected that actually turns out to be super positive. Some other times, what happens is not necessarily something we had planned, we feel we can handle, and that makes us feel good. It might later on, but when that happens to us, not necessarily. And I'm thinking about losing a job, breaking up in a relationship, losing someone you love, and some other things that might happen to you that you feel are so bad for you at that point, that kind of throw you off course straight away, and you feel like you can't go on, you can't continue what you were doing. So what I'm here for is to tell you that there is a way to realign yourself. So for example, as you all know, a moment in time for me when I was thrown completely off course was when 5 years ago my dad passed away. Up until that point, I have to say, I didn't have clear goals or where my life where I wanted to go in my life. I knew I had this idea, but I had not put any thought and any programming into that. I wasn't doing anything to make this idea that I had in mind of how my life had to turn up going, right? So I was living my life and I was doing the thing thinking that what I needed was a better job with a better salary, thinking that I needed a certain kind of people around me. And so because I was in the thinking and not and I had not sit down with myself to really figure out what I wanted. Because what happens oftentimes, we think we want something, and so we kind of go along with this thought of what we want, but we never really ask ourselves, what is it that I really, really want? And so this is one thing that I suggest you do. If you're feeling right now still confused or afraid of something, it doesn't necessarily have to be about the current situation right now, but you surely have some situation in your life, professional or personal, where you feel like you don't know what to do. You feel like maybe you feel something or maybe you want something, but you're not sure. And so one thing that I would suggest you do is really getting super clear on what you want. And when I say this, I mean really sit down with yourself and be very honest with yourself. Like, it's you and yourself. No one is gonna know what is it that you really want. So for example, say you're in a relationship and things are not going that well, and this has been going on for a while. But you think you love the person, you think that this is a temporary situation, um, but you're not really sitting down with yourself to really understand what are your emotions, what those emotions are actually trying to tell you. And so if you sit down with yourself and a feeling of I want to leave this relationship comes up, then that's okay. It's there for you to give you a starting point. It doesn't mean that you're gonna have to take action straight away. But when you become honest with yourself and you really figure out what is it that you want, then it's easier to start taking action, and it's also easier to align yourself to your desires. If you are in a job that I hear a lot of people right now saying, oh, I didn't realize that actually this situation at work doesn't fit me anymore, and I've had a great time working from home, and I wish I could do this more. It's been great to stay with my family, with my partner, by myself, whatever your situation was. Or I realized that I like doing this more, whatever. And so a lot of people are really starting to reshape what is it that is important for them. And so being honest with yourself in any kind of situation, whenever you have a situation with someone that you love, friend, colleague, family member, anybody, partner, business partner, it's really important to really ask yourself, what do I want? Because oftentimes, and especially women do this, we try to please someone else thinking that this is what's going to make them happy and it's going to make us happy. But the reality is that doing like this, pleasing other people instead of really checking in with ourselves and really making sure that what we are about to say, do, actually is aligned with our desires, makes sense. So the reason why it's important to check in with yourself is so that you have a starting point, really, where you know exactly where you're going. And you know, things change in our life, and this year has been a great reminder of this for all of us. Things change. You can have all the plans that you want in your life, but then something can happen. You're gonna have to revise your plans. And so how do you manage that situation? It depends on how aligned you are with your desires and how much work you've done in order to be able to manage your emotions. And so the starting point is always asking yourself, what do I really want? And I want to make sure you understand that there is a difference between what I really want with against what I think I want. Because oftentimes we take action based on what we think we want. And that's when we get, at some point, we're going to get off track, because it's not exactly aligned to what our soul wants. When we ask ourselves what I really want, then we can have a conversation with our soul, with ourself, with our intuition, and really figure out the best course of action for us, right? So I know this is difficult, especially if you say you are in a relationship that you have realized you want to leave because it's not giving you anything, because you don't feel engaged in the situation anymore, because you know that leaving this relationship will actually help you feel better and make a lot of things of your life happen. Then it can be that it takes time and it's difficult. So it's okay. Once you realize what you want, then you can also start to manage the situation and help yourself to get out of that situation, be it a job or a relationship or anything else that is no longer serving you, right? So for example, say that you're in a relationship, and I'm not talking just about a relationship with a loved one, a romantic relationship. I'm talking even friendship or partnerships. Sometimes, we are in a situation where we need certain things. And as time passes and as we evolve and we do things, our situation changes, right? And so we get to a point where that deal that we might have, that relationship that we have, no longer serves us, no longer is aligned to who we are, because we have changed. And a lot of times happens, and I have this conversation quite a lot of times with my clients, because as they work on themselves to create their own business, to manifest whatever it is that they want to manifest, it's inevitable to do some inner work on yourself. And so when you do inner work on yourself, then you learn so much about you, about what triggers you, about the history of your pains, and you're going to do a lot of releasing. And when you do that, you change the way you approach things, you change the way you react to things. And so let's say you are in a relationship, could be a friendship relationship, right? And so at some point, so you and your friend have been going on and kind of following pretty much the same path, similar path. So you always had similar ideas and all that. And then all of a sudden you start to do some inner work because you want to manifest something else. You want to manifest something better. And so when you do those things, when you start to work on yourself to manifest what you want, you start to evolve. You start to transform. You start to learn something about yourself that maybe you had forgotten, that you didn't know. A lot of things become way more clearer, and it can happen that your perception of things change. So you start to want to deal with situation a different way. You start to see things in a different way. If your friend has not done anything and doesn't understand what's going on with you, it might happen that you will feel a disconnection. And so you will feel like this person doesn't understand you and doesn't support you anymore. And maybe that other person is going to think that you have gone crazy because all of a sudden you have changed. It's never all of a sudden unless something happens to us, but whenever there is this evolution, it's little things that happen one by one, and when they sum up, it looks like, feels like the change is like this quick. But if you pay attention, oftentimes people start to make little changes in their lives, and then they get to a point where you see the whole result of those changes all in one go, and it feels like, oh my god, what happened to this person? She changed. So this is something that I hear so many of my clients saying, and I know it's difficult, but this is what happens when you work on yourself. You're gonna always evolve. You evolve even if you don't want to. You evolve even if you don't want to take action, because things will happen to you. Life happens to everybody, and so when you know what you want, when you really know what you want, the actions that you're going to take are the ones that are aligned to what you want. And to understand what is it that you want, one thing that I want to suggest you do is to look at what are your values. Values are the most important thing for us in order to stay in line with ourselves. So for me, one of the, you know me, if you've heard me talking before, if you follow with me, you know that one of my core values is freedom. I want to be free to express myself. I want to be free to be in a relationship without feeling someone is trying to cage me down. I had this problem when I was working in corporate because I felt like my bosses wanted to put me in a box. So for me, freedom of being who I am and express who I am, share my message with my audience, be free to live wherever, go wherever, do what I want, and create my vision. It's important for me. It gives me this light feeling, and it gives me this happy feeling because I know I have choices, because I know this is what my soul is asking me to be free. And in fact, since I was little, people will say that I was a free spirit, and that's very true. But until I started to do those kind of works, I never really understood or realized that freedom was so important for me. I never realized that freedom is so important for me that anytime I put myself in a situation not to be free, then that situation will come against me. Like every time I embark in a relationship with a guy that at some point wanted me in a certain way, and so things have happened for which at the beginning I didn't realize, and I was like, oh my god, I can't breathe, I need to go. Or jobs where I put myself in situations where jobs were very much about rules, and I'm everything but for the rules. I'm as a free spirit, I'm a creative person, and so rules can be broken as long as the result is always the same, right? So this is my way of thinking, but I never really understood how freedom was so important for me until I started to work on my values, and I started to understand, first of all, what were my first five values, like if you have to put them on top, because we all have quite a lot values that you can find yourself in. So if you take a piece of paper, I have a list of values here, I can read them out for you. But like, for example, think about it. What is important for you among all of those? And I'm just going to give you some, just to give you an idea. But for example, trust, vision, teamwork, self-discipline, health, courage, creativity, clarity, financial freedom, financial stability, personal growth, perseverance, compassion, efficiency, friendship, family. So those are just some, like you can sit down and start to write down exactly what is important for you. But once you know what are your core values, that's when you can make the decision based on those. Because once you make decision based on those values, I can promise you everything aligns. And even if something happens that throws you off track, then it's going to be easier for you to refocus on what you want, right? So say that it's important for you to have freedom and compassion and honesty and respect, then you're going to choose people that will give you that, because you will give that to them. You will choose company or careers that allow you to express yourself in that way, and then in turns give you that in return. And so even if it happens that you lose your job, you need to move country, you meet a person and you fall in love and that wasn't planned, and so you have to reshape your dreams and things, and whatever that is, things are good or bad, you can pause, you can have a moment of pause, especially if something unexpected that you didn't want happens. You're gonna need a moment to really go back on track, to really feel your emotions and really release anything that doesn't serve you, any negative emotion, and you will have your own process that helps you to deal with that situation. And then once you feel ready, you're gonna want to go back on track, right? And so it's gonna be easier for you to just be like, okay, fine, so I lost my job, and what I always wanted was this, and that. Okay, where can I find this, right? So this is one thing that for me is crucial to understand, because if you go against your values, you're always going to find situations where that are not gonna give you anything long term. You're always going to find situations where you're going to clash. If I had to find jobs where rules were the most important thing and you couldn't remove yourself from that, you had to just follow I would just die. It's just like, it's not for me. It's completely so against the way I am that I know that something like that, it's not for me. Rules for me are there to give you a guidance, but then you make your own. But it's really important to understand that, because once you do, everything becomes so much clearer. So in whatever situation you're in, that you are confused right now, or you just want to, let's say that this year has been so weird that now you kind of want to be like, you know what, I'm just going to start as if this is the 1st of January, and I'm just going to start with my New Year resolution. And you want to kind of make a new plan because a lot of things have changed and you have changed perception. And so you don't feel like that what you had thought about at the beginning of the year makes any sense right now, right? Let's do it this way. So write down your goals, and it's very much up to you how you want to do it. If you listen to the big ones, they all tell you write a goal that is measurable, that stretches you, put a time and a date, has to be within a year, what you want to achieve in 6 months. For me, it's really depending on you. What I would personally suggest is to do the 6 months as a start, and then like create goals. Where do you want to be in the next 6 months in terms of your career, in terms of your personal life, in terms of other things like your fun, whatever. And then just create a goal for every of those categories for the next month that will help you to get closer to the one at the end of the 6 months. Why I suggest to do this? Because I feel that whenever you do a year resolution, yes, it feels so, although time goes very quickly. And I don't know about you, but to me, this year has been going super fast. And I really don't understand that, considering that it's been spent most of the time staying home. But anyway, so it might feel a little bit daunting to think about next year, especially with uncertainty we are in right now. And so just feel into yourself and try to figure out the timing that works for you. It could be within a month, it could be within the next 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5. I think it's important to have a vision that goes a little bit over the year, just to be like, I know for myself, I want to have a house on the beach. I have no idea where yet, but I know that's one of the things within the next 5 years. I have a lot of things that I want to achieve within the next 5 years, right? Within that space, there are smaller goals that you need to achieve first to get to the bigger goals. So give yourself this big vision, and it's up to you. You can do a year, you can do a 5 year, and then go back. But what I feel it's very important is to understand, where do you want to be by the end of July, for example? What is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you want to accomplish in all the areas of your life? And once you figure that out, ask yourself, is this thing that I want to manifest, is this vision that I have for myself by the end of July aligned to my core values? And that's when you're going to see if there is something that you need to do. Because when you match your goal with your value, then you know how to take the next steps. And so your daily actions, your weekly actions are going to be way more powerful, because they're going to be aligned with your goal. And you might not achieve your goal right at the end of July, but you're going to be so much on the right path that even if something happens that shakes you a little bit, you just need to pause, reset, and restart, and go back to remember which were your core values and why was this goal aligned to your core values. So there is always an underlying reason why you want what you want. You want a car because, yes, you want to drive, but why do you want that particular car? You want that particular car because it makes you feel in a certain way, and if you feel in a certain way, then you're going to behave in a certain way and everything's going to be better. So there is always a main reason why you want that thing. And so if that main reason why you want that thing is aligned to your values, then you're going to be able to manifest your vision. And this is why you are aligned to yourself, because it doesn't matter what happens to you. It doesn't matter if you get off track, if you decide to pause because maybe, I don't know, you have too many things going on, you're going on holiday, you're tired, whatever. But you're still gonna be able to pick up from where you left and continue. And so this is why it's important. So the thing that I want to suggest to you is really ask yourself, what do I really want? And be very honest with you. It's only you with you. You know, you don't need to share this with anybody if you don't feel it's necessary yet, right? It's just for you to give you that sense of clarity. Because once you're honest with yourself, that's where your clarity is. But you need to stop thinking about what people want you to do, what will be good for them, how disappointing will be for them to hear what you feel you want. You know, really shut off yourself from anything and anybody and be honest with yourself. This is the main point, and it's the most important point. And after you realize what is it that you want, create your goals within a month, within 6 months, 3 months, a year, whatever feels comfortable for you. After you have understood exactly what you want, then at that point, figure out which are your core values. And I'm gonna go with 5, but you can go with 3. Just, write down like a long list of values. And then, start to highlight the ones that you feel are the most important. So you can go and make a list of 20, and then you start to erase 10. And then from that 10, you start to erase another 5. And then you can keep the 5 or go down to 3. Those are going to be your main values. And so once you know what you want, then you look at your values, then you can create your goal. And from there, you're going to be able to align your actions to this goal, whatever that is. And it doesn't matter what happens to you and how you feel. If one day you feel good, if one day you feel bad, as long as you always go back to the feeling of your core value. So for me, if sometimes when I feel overwhelmed, confused, I'm like, okay, what do I need? What do I want? I want freedom. Okay, how do I create that today? That might not necessarily be an action step for my goal. For example, say that my goal is professional, but I wake up one day and I'm not feeling so great and I don't feel like doing anything. But freedom for me is always at the back of my mind, like freedom, creativity, being in the flow. So for me, those are important. And so maybe I won't do anything that is strictly business wise, but how can I create freedom for me that day? So in that way, I will create freedom from overwhelm or freedom from not feeling so good. And how can I do that? Maybe just go for a walk, talk to a friend, see a friend, listen to some music, do something that makes me happy, do something that makes me feel free, right? So I'm gonna do something that makes me feel aligned to my value, even if that's something that I'm doing, it's not necessarily taking action towards the business as I had planned it to be, right? So because when you plan a goal, when you create a goal, then you're gonna have action steps, and we are all very different. But it's important to have daily action steps and weekly action steps. But everybody works differently, so I go by depending on the month. Sometimes I know that by within a week I need to do certain things, and sometimes I work better if I have daily goals. It works in a way that works for you, so you know how that pans out. And if you don't know, just explore that, try. And so let's say I have to do three things, like for example, today I have to edit my podcast episode, contact a couple of people, contact a potential client, and I wake up and I feel under the weather and I just cannot put myself together to do that. That's okay. Those three actions are the actions that are going to help me to create the freedom that I want in my business. That's fine. But if I stop and for this day, I start to create freedom from this feeling, I'm not feeling okay, I'm not feeling good, of feeling too overwhelmed, too stressed, too tired, whatever, and I do something to remove myself from that and be free of this feeling, then I can go back and do what I was supposed to do, or maybe not, but what I'm gonna do, it's going to serve me anyway because I am aligned. And so I really encourage you to ask yourself the magic question: what do I really want? And after you do that, start to understand what are your core values and then create your goal. And once you do this, it's going to be so much easier. And if you have a situation where something happens to you unexpectedly and you need a moment to figure out what's going on, how you feel, how you deal with the situation, that's okay. You just pause what you're doing to sort yourself out, and then you go back to it. It's going to be so much easier for you to keep that clarity, because when you don't have a goal, when you don't know what is it that you need, what are your values, that's when your confusion, overwhelm, it's going to always stay there with you because you don't know. And so it feels difficult to figure that out. It's frustrating to think, to continue thinking about it. But once you know, you know. So you can leave it and pick it back up from where you left it. It's gonna be okay. Maybe you just have to tweak in some things or not. You're gonna see. So this is why it's important to follow those three steps, because this is how you stay aligned with your desires, and it doesn't matter what happens to you. Yeah, understand what drives you. So whenever you set your goal, really understand what drives you. So if, for example, for me, it's freedom, that's what drives me. And so every time I take an action, I have, freedom at the back of my mind. Every time I'm talking to a person, every time I'm entering a relationship, that is at the back of my mind. And so when I hear someone saying things that are not aligned to my values, then I'm like, oh, okay. So this person, no, I don't think I want to work with this person. I don't want to partner with this person. I don't want to enter in a relationship with this person because it's so much difference from what it's important for me. And so once you know this, it's going to be so easy for you to, with time, not even thinking about it. It's going to be, you're going to feel it within yourself. Like when you start talking to someone, when you want to enter in, find a job, create a job, change career, it's going to feel in a certain way. It's going to feel right because it's aligned with your values, because you know what your values are. It's all down to that. It's very simple. Of course, as I said at the beginning, once you are working to manifest whatever it is that you manifest, you're gonna inevitably work on yourself. Things about yourself, about your fears, about your limiting beliefs are going to pop up, and you're going to work on them in order to continue to move forward and get closer to your goal, right? And so this is the way to move forward. But of course, if you have bigger fears, if you have bigger limiting beliefs that need to be worked on a little bit harder, then again, if you know your values, then you're also going to see how those fears are not aligned to them, right? And you're also going to be able to work on them differently. I am not going to say that doing inner work and doing shadow work, it's easy. I'm not going to, because it's not. But it's necessary if you want to manifest your vision, if you want to manifest your dreams, if you want to manifest your goals. Because manifesting, it's a growth process, professional, personal, spiritual, and there is no growth if you don't do work. So they go together. And so, but I know that if you're listening to me, it's because you want to manifest your vision and you want to grow and you want to create. So otherwise you wouldn't be listening to me, right? Okay, well, I hope this has been helpful. I am going to recap quickly 3 action steps for you, and please do let me know if those have been helpful. But before I do that, I have an amazing announcement for you. So next week, I'm going to be relaunching my website, because I've changed quite a few things. When I started my business, I was a completely different person. And so there are going to be a lot of different offers, and I'm going to be live on Instagram again, but I will let you know. So stay tuned, follow me on the Intuition Queen on Instagram, because there is so much going on and I want to help you manifest your vision. I have a 4 months program coming up soon, just for a few people, and this is what I'm going to go deeper with. And if you've been following me, I've also talked about healing and sexual creative energy, releasing stories. So all of this is going to be in my 4 months program, where I'm going to really help you release anything that doesn't serve you, step into your power, learn to trust yourself, your intuition, and use that creativity to manifest your vision. So stay tuned and keep following me, because there's so much happening. It's my season. July, it's my season. I was born in July, and I just love create. I'm a creative person, and I want to share what I'm creating with you, and I want to help you. So stay tuned and keep watching and keep following, keep listening. And okay, so now the recap. So first of all, ask yourself what I really want and be honest. Honesty goes a long way. If you're not honest with yourself, you're going to create goals that don't make any sense for you, because you're doing it maybe for someone else. Always remember that in order for you to help other people in your life, you have to first help yourself. You have to first be honest with yourself. Second step is to write down your values and really break it down and figure out what are your core values, 3 to 5. And from there, create your goal and give yourself the time that you wish, a month, 3 months, 6, 12, whatever. But start from, if you feel that creating a goal for the next 6 months, 12 months is too much, just go month by month, and then you will change that. You will see how much you're able to manifest, even from the little thing. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. I'd love to hear your comments. So please do share with me, either here listening, if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you're listening to, or if you're watching on YouTube. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, please do message me on Instagram, The Intuition Queen, or otherwise, website is almost ready. You can message me at hello@theintuitionqueen.com, and that's all from me.
Your mind is clearer than before. Your heart is full and wanting more. Your future's at the door.